It's midnight and you're tuning in to Nightline with me, Natasha Busst. The top stories. Trump wins White House in historic comeback, defeats Harris. And Malaysia sees rising interest among Chinese investors' companies.
Good things are coming. Good things are coming. Whether you voted for him or not, you'll see a change in this country and hopefully the world. I just don't want all this war stuff and all this back and forth. I don't want all of it. I want just peace, day in and day out.
So I do not believe that the Democratic Party in its current form is capable of leading the United States into a major conflict, and I believe that's what we're headed to. So if given the choice between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, who's going to lead the military in what could be World War III, I have to tip my hat to Donald Trump in that regard.
I'm honestly very disappointed, but I saw this coming last year, especially when everything on Gaza happened, but even before when Joe Biden announced that he was running again for president, I just saw there was the lack of enthusiasm.
I'm gonna go home frustrated and a little still confused because I feel like I saw Kamala Harris come in our town and cause traffic jams every single week, but the rest of the country kind of just was faced with very unclear policies on foreign war from both sides.
The 2024 U.S. election has finally come to an end, with Donald Trump elected as the 47th President of the United States on Wednesday in an extraordinary comeback for the former president, who refused to accept defeat 4 years ago after sparking a violent insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, convicted of felony charges, and survived 2 assassination attempts. Results showed Trump beating Vice President Kamala Harris in a race far less tight than expected as he triumphed in key battleground states. The former president crossed the threshold of 270 votes in the Electoral College needed to defeat Harris, winning the electoral vote-heavy prizes of Texas and Florida and the battleground states of North Carolina, Georgia, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, while Harris took New York and California, as well as Virginia. However, his campaign, which has seen him demonize his opponents, immigrants, and many minorities, tapped into the frustrations of many in a bitterly polarized nation. Speaking to his supporters after declaring victory, Trump claimed he had won an unprecedented and powerful mandate.
America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate. We have taken back control of the Senate. Wow, that's good. And the Senate races in Montana, Nevada, Texas, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, were all won by the MAGA movement. They helped so much.
The Republican nominee seeking to return to the White House after his 2020 defeat also outlined his vision for a potential second term, promising to fix the country's borders and fix everything about America.
Frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country.
Meanwhile, Republicans are also expected to win control of the Senate, a victory for the party that has been locked out of the majority in the chamber since 2021. Meanwhile, Harris has lost her bid to become America's first woman leader on Wednesday as her Republican rivals surge to a decisive victory in the U.S. presidential election. The vice president is yet to speak despite it becoming clear by Wednesday morning that Trump had secured wins in several key swing states. Harris has also cancelled her expected election night appearance at Howard University in Washington, D.C., where the party-like atmosphere had already turned sour as two swing states were called for Trump. It seemed her 15-week campaign failed to galvanize enough support to defeat Trump across the country, with early exit poll data showing her campaign, which had included a focus on abortion rights, failing to resonate. The Democrat is expected to speak later on Wednesday. Vice President Harris became the Democratic Party candidate in July after President Joe Biden withdrew from the race under pressure from within the party. Had she claimed victory, the former California senator would have become the first woman, black woman, and South Asian American to win the presidency. Now, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim has congratulated Donald Trump, who claimed victory in the U.S. presidential election. He also expressed hope that the U.S. would use its considerable influence to help end the devastating violence and loss of life in Palestine and Ukraine. In a posting on his Facebook account, Anwar said that Trump's comeback brings renewed opportunities and Malaysia is ready to move forward with optimism, collaboration, and shared purpose. He also noted that the U.S. remains Malaysia's largest source of foreign investment and a vital player in the Asia-Pacific region. Anwar also said as ASEAN chair in 2025, Malaysia hopes that the U.S. will reinvigorate its engagement with Southeast Asia. On another matter, the Prime Minister said there is heightened interest from Chinese firms in investing in Malaysia. Anwar described this development as a positive step toward attracting more investors from China.
Hari ini saya dengan Menteri tumpu soal pelaburan. Perbincangan sama ada satu demi satu ataupun dengan satu kumpulan membicarakan tentang dasar kita, tentang suasana peraturan pelaburan dan apa masalah dibangkitkan. Jadi saya lihat ada kecenderungan dan minat China yang meningkat dan ini satu perkembangan sangat positif.
Anwar, who is also the finance minister, said this to the Malaysian media after holding a roundtable session with over 20 Chinese industry leaders in Shanghai on Wednesday. When asked about the expected investment amount from potential investors, Anwar said it would be announced on Thursday. The third day of the Prime Minister's working visit to China was filled with engagement sessions with potential investors in Shanghai, including a dialogue session with representatives from Chengwei Capital, a leading venture capital firm with unique expertise and resources in the global semiconductor industry, and NRL Capital, whose founders have played instrumental roles in the successful development of high-tech industrial clusters in China. Anwar also met with several companies in one-to-one business meetings. Among them were representatives from the Bank of China, Sinochem, and Zhejiang Jiahua Energy Chemical Industry Co. Anwar's four-day working visit to China is at the invitation of Chinese Premier Li Qiang. The country has been Malaysia's largest trading partner for 15 consecutive years since 2009. Last year, Malaysia's total trade with China was valued at 450.84 billion ringgit. Meanwhile, Anwar arrived in Beijing on Wednesday night, the final stop of his working visit to China, which began last Monday. The aircraft carrying the Prime Minister from Shanghai landed at Beijing Capital International Airport at 6:10 p.m. local time. The Prime Minister was then welcomed by Chinese Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs Liu Bin and Chinese Ambassador to Malaysia Ouyang Yujing. On Thursday, Anwar is scheduled to have a courtesy call with Chinese President Xi Jinping at the Great Hall of the People. Before meeting with Xi, Anwar will visit the Huawei Executive Briefing Center and deliver a public lecture at Peking University. This visit marks Anwar's third trip to China as Prime Minister, following his first visit in March 2023 and a subsequent one in September of the same year. The government remains open to negotiations with any individual member of parliament regarding allocations for elected representatives from the opposition. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadila Yusof explained that talks on the matter with Perikatan Nasional as a bloc fell through due to their own choice.
Kalau ada di kalangan individu ahli parlimen yang nak berbincang dengan saya di sebelah sana, saya terbuka. Tapi secara kelompok, saya dikatakan sudah pun menolak daripada keputusan pihak parti itu sendiri. Jadi saya tak dapat buat apa-apa lah.
Fadila told the Dewan Rakyat on Wednesday that so far only Muar Member of Parliament Syed Sadiq Syed Abdul Rahman had responded to the draft Memorandum of Understanding MOU on allocations for the opposition's elected representatives. On Tuesday, Fadila said the government has closed the door to negotiations after the opposition decided to reject the offer. Graft investigators have searched the house of Fashion Valet founders Datin Vivi Yusof and Datuk Fazruddin Shah Anwar and frozen several of their accounts with 1.1 million ringgit in funds. Earlier, the couple returned to the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC headquarters in Putrajaya at noon for a second day of questioning.
The process of recording the couple's statement lasted some 3 hours, and a vehicle carrying the couple was then seen leaving the MACC building at 4:20 p.m. Attempts by the media to interview the couple, however, were unsuccessful. It was later reported that Vivi and Fazruddin were taken to their residence in Mongkiara, Kuala Lumpur, where a search was conducted. The search ended at 8 p.m. and among the goods seized were 11 handbags and a luxury watch, estimated at a total of 200,000 ringgit. MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki confirmed that Fashion Valets and the founders' accounts had been frozen and that their house had been searched. The couple was then ordered to present themselves at the agency's headquarters again at 10 a.m. on Thursday. In its probe, the MACC has so far taken recorded statements, among others, from senior officials of Khazanah Nasional Berhad, Permodalan Nasional Berhad, Fashion Valet, accountants and company valuers.
In Kedah, a political activist who is also a social media influencer and 2 others have been remanded for 4 days to assist the MACC's investigation into an alleged corruption case. The remand order until Saturday was issued by Alur Star Magistrate Siti Nur Hazliza Muhammad Ali on Wednesday. According to sources, the 3 men in their 30s to 50s are being investigated for allegedly soliciting and accepting a bribe from a celebrity preacher. The bribe was solicited as an inducement to settle the celebrity preacher's money laundering case, which is under police investigation. It is believed that the trio had conspired to solicit 150,000 ringgit from the preacher, but only received 20,000 ringgit from him. The suspects were detained in Bedong, Sungai Petani and the state MACC headquarters between noon and 5 p.m. on Tuesday. Kedah MACC Director Ahmad Nizam Ismail confirmed the arrest, adding that the case is being investigated under Section 16 of the MACC Act. Police are searching for a lorry driver seen in a video driving against traffic on the Pasir Gudang Highway in Johor, leading to an accident early Monday morning. Sri Alam Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Suhaimi Ishak confirmed on Wednesday that a report had been lodged regarding the incident. In a statement, Suhaimi said the accident occurred at about 2 a.m. when an 18-year-old Indonesian man driving in the right lane suddenly encountered an oncoming lorry traveling against traffic. He added that the driver attempted to avoid the lorry but lost control before crashing onto the right shoulder of the highway. The victim sustained minor injuries and received outpatient treatment at the Sultan Ismail Hospital. Earlier, 2 dashboard camera videos capturing the lorry traveling against traffic went viral on social media. The case is being investigated under the Road Transport Act for reckless and dangerous driving. Bank Negara Malaysia has maintained the overnight policy rate OPR at 3%. The central bank said the latest indicators point towards sustained strength in economic activity in the second quarter of 2024, driven by resilient domestic expenditure and better export performance. It said going forward, exports are expected to be supported by the global tech upcycle, continued strength in non-electrical and electronics goods, and higher tourist spending. Employment and wage growth, as well as policy measures, remain supportive of household spending. Meanwhile, the central bank said both headline and core inflation averaged 1.8% year-to-date and were expected to remain manageable heading towards the new year. BNM said the ringgit continues to be primarily driven by external factors, while the outcome of the U.S. presidential election could lead to increased volatility in the near term. The government's proposal to introduce mandatory Employees Provident Fund EPF contribution for foreign workers is intended to improve wage equity and ensure local workers are not disadvantaged. Second Finance Minister Datuk Seri Amir Hamzah Azizan said Putrajaya's main aim was to close the wage gap between local and foreign workers.
No differentiation between local labour and foreign labour on that basis, so we want to encourage more employment opportunities for local labour.
He added that when employers are required to make EPF contributions for foreign workers, employers are not overly incentivized to start employing foreign labour. In the meantime, Amir said the EPF is currently working out how best to roll out EPF contributions for foreign workers and is expected to announce the details next year. Now, as Donald Trump claimed victory in the 2024 U.S. presidential election and Republicans took control of at least one chamber of Congress, investors have bought dollars, Bitcoin and stocks, as well as solid bonds. Trump's win over Democrat Kamala Harris also saw the U.S. stock futures hit record highs, the dollar surged and Treasury yields jumped, while Bitcoin broke $75,000 US for the first time. The results so far underscore how one of the most unusual presidential elections in modern U.S. history could have far-reaching implications for tax and trade policy as well as U.S. institutions. The results will also affect assets globally and will determine the outlook for U.S. debt, the strength of the dollar, and a host of industries that make up the backbone of corporate America. Jing Hong smashes into Korea Masters second round. Sports after this short break.
Alah, dah habis tak sempat nak tengok.
Drama TV3 Mak? Tengok je lah, tonton.
Apa nak buat?
Telefon Mak. Mula-mula Mak buka tonton, lepas tu tekan sign up here untuk buat akaun baru. Isi nombor telefon, email dengan password. Masukkan nombor TAC dan siap.
Lah, senang je. Jadi tengok dasar?
Boleh lah. Jadi dah drama Mak tu.
Lebih segar, lebih dinamik. Laporan komprehensif menghidupkan pagi anda.
Buletin pagi dengan waktu yang baharu. 9.30 pagi setiap hari bermula 1 November.
Cepat, cepat! Kopi soda One in a Million dah mula dah ni. Kalau nak nyanyi dekat depan cermin je. Tunjukkan bakat korang yang lain seperti menari ke, main alat muzik ke, lagi on. Boleh juga kalau nak nyanyi solo, duo ataupun berkumpulan. Hanya perlu muat naik video nyanyian korang di TikTok ataupun hadir saja dekat lokasi uji bakat seperti yang berikut. Dapatkan info lanjut di media sosial yang tertera. Segar rasa, sodap suara.
Tahniah kepada rangkaian televisyen Media Prima. Bersinar gemilang di pentas Anugerah Sri Angkasa. Menawan Sri Angkasa, 17 anugerah jadi bukti. Hasil kerja keras dan kreativiti yang tiada tandingan.
Terima kasih ASA.
Bersama kita ciptakan lebih banyak kejayaan.
Sports now, badminton, the 2024 Korea Masters. National men's single shuttler Kok Jin Hong booked a spot in the round of 16 after defeating Korea's Do Dong-wook. The 22-year-old thrashed the Korean in straight sets, 21-12, 21-18 in just 31 minutes. Kok Jin Hong will next be challenged by world number 33, Japanese Takuma Obayashi, on Thursday. Joining him are men's doubles national shuttlers Lo Hang-yi and Eung Eng-cheong. After a disappointing first game, the pair bounced back against Korean shuttlers Song Hyun-cho and Sung Ik-jin, 17-21, 21-18, 21-19. Up next for them will be world number 5 Taiwan pair Lee Je-hui and Yang Po-swan. Meanwhile, it was the end of the road for national men's single shuttler Ho Justin after he was defeated in straight sets 18-21, 17-21 by world number 31 Thai Kantapon Wang Charuen. Also suffering the same fate was national mixed doubles pair Wang Tianqi and Lin Chu-sien after they lose to Korean pair Sang Won Lee and Kim Bo-ryong 14-21, 15-21. Moving on to football, the AFC Champions League elite. Cristiano Ronaldo was on target as Al Nassr inflicted a crushing 5-1 defeat on Al Ain in Riyadh on Tuesday, leaving the title holders' hopes of advancing to the round of 16 in jeopardy. Anderson Talisca puts the home side in front just 5 minutes into the game after he converted a low-driven effort from distance. Cristiano Ronaldo then displayed his striker instincts in the 31st minute by tucking in a rebound, and just 6 minutes later, Brazilian winger Angelo Gabriel's deflected shot looped over a helpless Asa to make it 3-0. Al Ain managed to squeeze in a goal through Yongwoo's shot from distance in the 56th minute. However, Al Nassr retaliated with another goal by Wesley in the 81st minute, and Talisca then found his brace in injury time to complete the 5-1 rout. The win moves Stefano Pioli's side up to third and within 2 points of fellow Saudi Pro League clubs Al Hilal and Al Ahly. Indonesia to relocate thousands after volcano eruptions. This and more from the foreign front when we come back.
Yang lebih muda ke yang lebih berusia? Pening lah.
Awak ni apa jodoh ke? Mana satu pilihan anda?
Daripada sebatang pokok pisang boleh dijadikan pelbagai menu masakan.
Gulai pisang ikan masin masak lemak umbut, kerabu jantung pisang. Ya Allah, sedapnya.
Pening juga kalau berhadapan dengan keluarga yang toksik.
Sejauh mana dia boleh memberi kesan kepada mental?
Kenapa sekarang ni semua orang mudah untuk meleraikan ikatan perkahwinan?
Cerai, penyudah atau masih ada harapan?
Bagaimana pula dengan pasangan anak mak?
Itu kena tunggulah hari Jumaat.
Semuanya di WHI TV 3.
Dan anda boleh stream di Tonton.
Apa yang kelakar sangat tu, Kak? Ni tengah tengok drama baru dekat Tonton ni. Macam seronok je cerita ni. Kalau nak tengok kat TV, boleh tak?
Boleh je, Mak. Cari aplikasi Tonton. Dah jumpa tu, tinggal buat turun je. Dah buka Tonton, tekan butang sign in, nanti dia keluar macam ni. Dia ada bagi link. Tapi nak senang, imbas je kod QR ni. Masukkan je ID dengan password. Sekarang ni tinggal cari snack dan main drama.
Istimewa MHI minggu ini.
Kenali aneka jenis cendawan dan khasiatnya.
Strok dan angin amar, apakah punca dan rawatannya?
Semakin meningkat kes perceraian. Adakah puncanya lelaki atau wanita? Kita kupaskan bersama.
Hukuman jenayah bagi pesalah pesakit mental. Apa yang kita perlu tahu?
Juga bajet perkahwinan dalam soal wang.
Malaysia hari ini Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 hingga 11 pagi.
Di TV3 dan ditonton.
Cepat! Kalpi soda One in a Million dah mula dah ni. Kalau nak nyanyi dekat depan cermin je. Tunjukkan bakat korang yang lain seperti menari ke, main alat muzik ke, lagi on. Boleh juga kalau nak nyanyi solo, duo ataupun berkumpulan. Hanya perlu muat naik video nyanyian korang di TikTok ataupun hadir saja dekat lokasi uji bakat seperti yang berikut. Dapatkan info lanjut di media sosial yang tertera. Segar rasa, sodap suara.
On to the foreign front. Lebanese rescuers pulled at least 30 bodies out of the rubble of an apartment building on Wednesday after a late-night Zionist strike in the town of Barja as the Mid-East wars press on with no signs of abating. It remained unclear if there were any survivors or bodies still trapped under the rubble following Tuesday night airstrike, which came without warning. There was no statement from the Israeli military, and the strike's intended target was also unknown. With the death toll from Israel's military campaign against Hezbollah soaring and airstrikes expanding across the country, rescue workers who are dispatched to pull casualties from the rubble are increasingly in the crosshairs. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has fired Defense Minister Yoav Gallant on Tuesday, saying he had no trust in him over the management of Israel's ongoing military operations as the wars in Gaza and Lebanon grind on. In a statement, Netanyahu's office said the leader appointed Foreign Minister Israel Katz, a close ally, to succeed Gallant, while Gideon Sa'ar becomes the new Foreign Minister. Both Gallant and Netanyahu have clashed for months over the objectives of Israel's 13-month-old war in Gaza, and many had expected the Prime Minister to sack him sooner or later. But the timing was a surprise and came as the U.S. was consumed by its presidential election, where Gallant had been a key interlocutor for Washington over the last year of conflict. However, Netanyahu said that beyond differing opinions, a crisis of trust gradually opened, and this crisis does not allow for the normal continuation of the management of the campaign. Indonesia officials on Wednesday said the government has plans to permanently relocate thousands of residents after a series of eruptions of Mount Lewotobi Laki-Laki volcano, which have killed 10 people and damaged thousands of houses. In a statement, the head of Indonesia's disaster agency said permanent relocation is considered as a long-term mitigation measure to anticipate similar eruptions in the future. He added that the government will also build houses for the relocation and aims to relocate all residents living within a 7-kilometer radius from the crater. There are more than 16,000 residents living in the nearest villages from the volcano, but the government is still calculating how many residents will be permanently relocated. Located on Flores Island in East Nusa Tenggara province, the volcano erupted on Sunday night, followed by smaller eruptions on Monday and Tuesday, and remains on the highest volcanic alert status. As Nightline draws to a close this time around, let's take a look as a Benin designer known as Lolo Andoche weaves traditional fabric, transforming the traditional pain into a contemporary masterpiece in the global fashion scene. With that, I'm Natasha Busst. Thank you for tuning in and stay safe, Malaysia.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين